So, Rory, the question to you is, why does autism-informed therapy actually matter?
I know that as therapists, you and I both know this, Ken, we're there to serve the general public, whether in private practice or working for an agency, to help them with the struggles they have in their lives and help them make sense of it and help them empower themselves. And we can only do that if we have an understanding of the panoply of humanity, the complete rainbow of humanity. And part of that rainbow is people who are autistic or neurodivergent. And it's really important that we can make reasonable adjustments and be thoughtful and mindful of working with people who may not see the world in the way that we do. And I'm going to make a point here. There is a legal obligation under the Equality Act in the UK for us to make reasonable adjustments for people who may need some extra form of support. And we can only do that in terms of autism if we understand what autistic clients may face, how they may see the world, and how we can better adapt our practices so that they have a great experience in therapy, as everybody else should have.
Oh, I like that. So we understand now why it matters. First of all, we have a legal obligation, but I think more than that, it's an ethical obligation to be welcoming and inclusive to all. It's so much a part of counseling training, and it's a way of being. And I also recognize that neurodivergence in general has become more mainstream. The information has become more available, starting to see it in culture, in television programs. It's woven into sitcoms. It's showing itself in so many different places. And people are starting to go, I self-identify with that. And because we have the technology we have today, they're having a look around and they're finding information on that. And maybe through that information, they are looking a little bit deeper. Am I autistic? Am I neurodivergent? And the truth is that the prevalence is rising. Autism brings with it additional stresses, and we may very well see these individuals coming into our practice and presenting. And as we've said so many times before, Roy, we can only go with the client as far as we can go within our competence. And I think gaining the competence to recognize, to understand, to be able to support someone who is pre-diagnosis, maybe thinking about that, or is maybe going through the diagnosis process, or is post-diagnosis, and adapting to the world on the world's terms and understand what it is like for them and the adjustments that we can make to make therapy more comfortable is just in service of those clients, Rory.
Yeah, and I think the term is inclusive, isn't it? So things like wheelchair access or being thoughtful about sexuality and gender and race and culture. We should think of autism in the same terms. So I think we should be autism informed, just as we inform ourselves through CPD on culture and the law and data protection. We really have to inform ourselves on all aspects of diversity. And autism is a growing edge of diversity that is coming into not only the nation's awareness, but also, I think, within the therapy room.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there are some barriers that show themselves on this topic as well. And the first one that I wanted to touch on is the diagnostic overshadowing. It can be thought that if somebody is presenting and they maybe consider themselves neurodivergent, and we're speaking specifically autistic today, that the immediate thought may be, oh, I need to signpost you. I need to put you into a medical route. I need to send you to your GP. We need to put a diagnosis in process. The truth is that so many that present for diagnosis are not able to be met during that process because of the overwhelm on the system. I'm speaking specifically here in the UK. If you're going into the National Health Service, you're likely to have an incredibly long waiting list. And I've heard so many people that are told it's not really worth it, just take a step back from this process. And that leaves us with that person in the therapy room. We're looking at lack of training as another barrier in working with this therapeutic process. So many therapists are saying that they don't feel that the adequate training was covered during their counseling training. it is a specialist area of presentation and should be worked with an understanding of what that presentation looks like. And it's not a one size fits all. It's not a book that you can read that says, now you do this and then you do this. It differs from each presentation in the same way as therapy differs with each client that you're going to see. So it's about having a range of understanding so you can meet that person where they are at. And of course, we've spoken about the medical profiling, labeling, getting a diagnosis. It may be seen as a step in the journey. It may be seen as, oh, now I have my diagnosis, then I'll be okay. And I recognize in my own journey that once I got my diagnosis, it was only then that I really thought, how does this really impact my life? It actually hit harder after I had my diagnosis. That wasn't the end of a road for me. It was actually the beginning of the road. So there's a lot to think about, Rory, and I guess that's why you made the training course on Autism-Informed practice, Rory.
Yeah, I'm going to pick up on the point you made about diagnosis. Not everybody who is autistic has a diagnosis, or maybe even knows. They may be coming to therapy because their presenting issue is they're struggling to fit in the world. How many of us have sat in front of clients who say, I'm just struggling to fit in, friends, relationships. And the autism training that I created is less about being a specific autism practitioner and working with autism. It's an awareness piece of work. Once you've taken the course, allowing you to be able to think slightly differently, to be able to see maybe different aspects of clients and be able to meet them where they're at. And I'll give you a little example of that. You may have a client who's sitting in the room and you've got a clock and it ticks, most clocks tick, and you might notice they're getting very agitated about that. That is because for a lot of autistic people, a ticking clock is so loud that it's as loud as the person speaking. And if you don't have an awareness of what might be disturbing the client when you're together, then, well, a couple of things are going to happen. The first thing is you're not going to get any longevity in therapy. The client's just going to go and not come back. And secondly, from the client's point of view, they're not going to be served. So this isn't about diagnosing or being an expert on autism. It's being able to pick up those cues, understand what your responsibilities are, and build a more inclusive practice. It's as simple as that. Just be more inclusive. And it's very possible, if you're listening to this and you're in practice, you may very well be working with an autistic client. They might not know they're autistic, and you might not know they're autistic. But I guarantee you, if you do the training, you may have a better understanding of where the client's struggling and how you can be more present for them. That's why I built the training. Very passionate about it, being a neurodivergent person myself, Ken.
Yeah, and I know when we started building this training, we went out to over 50,000 people in our Facebook group, and we were asking what was important within that group. And one of the things that came back incredibly strongly, if you remember, Rory, was what people were not looking for was a academic textbook version of a course. They wanted to know that there was some involvement by autistic individuals in the process or delivery, because that is just so important, because it creates that real passion. And certainly when we opened the Autism-Informed practice training course, Rory, we had many counselors who said, I am autistic, coming on that course in the beginning. That was the bulk of students that took that course, because those people know how important it is, because they live that life. And now we're many months, almost a year into the maturation of that training course. And now we're seeing people from all walks of life taking that course because they see the importance of serving this area that is just growing and showing itself more. And the training course that you speak about, Rory, is the Autism-Informed practice course by Counselling Tutor. It's an incredible course. It is incredibly detailed. You are peer supported throughout. You are tutor led. There is also self-directed learning, and everything can be done online to get your certificate in that. And if you're interested, go to counsellingtutor.com and click on our products. You'll find it there.